Well, yes, I would say some general pieces of advice. Um, I would suggest that if the listeners to this webinar are serious about getting into consultancy, I would say as soon as this webinar ends, start doing some research on the industry. And the easiest way to do that is just to put the names of a few firms. I would say suggest maybe 20 firms into Google Alerts so that you can see what sort of information is arriving in your inbox every day that's related to the consulting industry. So start to read about what's going on in consultancy. Start to look for consultant firms' names and understand what they do. What's the difference between McKinsey and Accenture? And make a decision for yourself as to what type of consultancy work that you'd want to do. And then maybe once you've done that, and you might want to spend a month doing that, then pick, let's say, 20 firms to follow quite seriously to get a good understanding of what it is that they do and how you might fit into them. And then maybe reduce that list to your prime initial targets of 5 or 6 firms. And there you want to make contact, if you can, with people inside those firms that you have some connection with. So these could be people that you used to be at university with, or you were at high school with, or you worked earlier in your career with out in industry, but who are now in the consulting firms that you want to join. LinkedIn is a great tool for researching these people. And then establish contact with them on an informal basis to begin with, but ask them, how did you get to where you are now in your consulting firm? Can you give me some advice? What do you think somebody like me should do now to try and get himself into a position where a firm like yours might be interested in hiring me? Would you mind having a look at my draft CV and telling me if you think it might fit what your firm is looking for? If it does, could you introduce me to somebody at your firm who's responsible for hiring? And it's by gathering all that information, first of all, and then showing that you've got a good understanding of what's going on in the consulting firm, that sets you apart from most other people who are just sending their CVs blindly in through portals without having done much study or research in advance. And whilst all that is going on, prepare yourself for consultancy interviews. And the key thing here in preparation is case study preparation. Because almost every consultancy interview now will involve at least one case study. And if you can't do a case study, you've blown it. You won't go any further. For the strategy houses, for example, you'll probably be put through 5 or 6 different case studies in the course of the interview process. So you've got to know how to crack a case. And I see, incidentally, that you've got a session from Mark Constantino, one of the gurus of case study analysis, coming up on MBA-Exchange shortly, I think in a week or so. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. We have that scheduled for October 9th.
Great. Well, look, I would strongly encourage you to log on to that webinar if you're serious about going forward in consultancy, because you've got to be able to crack the case. And you've also got to understand what goes on in issues like group exercises, where you might be one of a number of people sitting around a table in a consultancy interview and being watched by invigilators as to how you conduct yourself. Don't try and be the alpha male or the alpha female in one of these discussions. You've got to be able to contribute your point, but also sit back and let others contribute theirs. And if you see that they're not contributing, then encourage them to contribute, because that's exactly what goes on in real life in a consultancy team when you've got client-side staff and consultants working together.